Right, hello there everybody, welcome to the Adam Clery Football Channel, where Ruben Amorim has been sacked by Manchester United, and who saw that coming? Alright, sorry, yes of course, everybody saw that coming. But the question is, why now? How do you survive a 15th place finish, losing the Europa League final, the club's worst ever start to a Premier League season, and getting binned out of the cup by Grimsby, only to get sacked now? And more importantly, why, when every single person who watched them could see that this system did not suit this group of players, did he persist with it right up until his final match for the club? What has happened in these last 14 months? Well, let's have a look. Alright, so a couple of things. First off, thanks as ever to our official data providers, FOTMob. You will see us using this stuff during the video, but you should go and download the app because it has data and stats and fixtures and info. Loads of cool stuff. We genuinely love it. And second of all, Ruben Amorim got sacked on January the 5th. That is literally my birthday. So I've had to stop eating cake in the office with my friends and come and make this video. So you better like it. Anyway, though, this was his Manchester United, right? These are his most used players this season, and of course they invested another like £220 million on it in the summer. And that mostly went on Mbeumo, on Lamens, on Cunha, who I think we can all say have been really good. They've all immediately improved this team, and the rest went on Šeško, who hasn't really shown you too much yet, but he's 22 years old. You are required to have a little bit of patience there. And the thing is, if you go player for player throughout this entire team, right, and look at them individually, I'd say it's all been mostly quite positive. Fernandes is having a massive season for them. Casemiro's maybe having his best in a Man United shirt. Mason Mount has found a role for himself. Ahmad has continued to develop. Dalot never lets you down. And all the defenders have not been as bad as last season. Let's leave it at that. And yet, despite these positives, with every single passing week, they are capable of serving up something that is scarcely believable for a club of this stature. They led twice against Bournemouth and managed to chuck it away. They could not beat this Wolves team or West Ham at home. Everton played 80-something minutes against them with 10 men and won, and that is all just in the last 6 weeks. Improbably, he leaves the club with them sitting 6th in the division, but the reality is they are just 3 points off 12th. And like 4 points from going right back down to where they finished last season. And of all the teams in this big mesh of mid-table, they are not one of the ones that look to be getting better as the season's gone on. So the question then is, how does the team that had the second highest wage bill in the division last season wind up finishing 15th? And then how does a team that appears to have improved individually in every single department since keep putting together results like that? Well, we're going to start here in the dying embers of the Europa League final. And if, Manchester United fans, you have not already suppressed that part of your football supporting memory too much to recall it, you will remember that everyone was saying Bilbao or bust, weren't they? If you go and win that, then not only do you get a trophy, but you're back in the Champions League, and it's actually been a pretty good season despite finishing 15th. And if you lose it, well, then it's the worst season the club have had in decades and decades and decades. You are 1-0 down. There are only minutes left to go. Play is restarting, and you are still set up in this 3-4-2-1 shape. And Ruben Amorim had thrown more attacking players on. Yes, he was trying to get an equaliser, but they'd stayed in this shape that basically means when you don't have the ball, you've got like 7 defenders. And unsurprisingly, they do not go and equalise. Jump forward to that Grimsby game. You clawed your way back to parity against a League Two side and really want to avoid penalties. Again, play restarts and you are in your 3-4-2-1 shape. Cunha, Mbeumo, Xerxes, Mount, Šeško, all their attacking players were on the pitch at various points in this game, but they never came out of a shape that doesn't force 6 or 7 of your players to take up very conservative defensive starting positions. Like, they have Mason Mount at left wing back here, for example. Like, what on earth do you expect a player like that to do for you from that position? And it just didn't matter what the situation was or what advantages were to be gained. He could not see beyond this system. Here, against Everton's 10 men, your opponents are in a 4-4-1, camped in their own half, not engaging you at the back under any circumstances, and you've basically got 5 players standing outside their defensive shape. Like, honestly, it was baffling to watch that, because you've got a man extra and you're still building up with your goalkeeper and 3 motionless centre-backs, none of whom are being pressured on the ball. They did not need to be there. Like, there are just some fundamentals when it comes to playing against 10 men. Like, regardless of how you normally set up or who you are or who you're playing, you have to work them. You have to run them. You can stretch the game out and exhaust them mentally and physically, but only if you get men inside and around whatever defensive shape they have. And yet, Man United at all times in this game still had 3 centre-backs not being pressured, meaning at most they had 7 trying to disrupt Everton's 9. And the reason you don't ever see other teams playing like that is because nowhere in that situation will you then find yourself with a man advantage, just somehow allowing yourself, despite having more players, to be outnumbered in all the areas that counts. Like, it was one of the most baffling things I've ever seen on a football pitch. 3 very different but equally urgent scenarios and the same exact shape. No compromise, no adaptation. But the thing is, if you go and look at Man United's numbers from this season, they do suggest that improvements were being made, that maybe that current league position is merited. They've created the highest number of chances in the entire league, they've had the most shots on target, and have almost exactly the same XG as Arsenal. They are genuinely a creative force in this division. Like, they are like marginally underperforming their XG, yes, but they're still only 1 goal away from being the league's 3rd top scorers, which does sound like a bit of a convoluted sentence, yes, but it still proves this is a dangerous attacking team. But the numbers the other way are decidedly mid-table. They give up as many chances as Fulham, Palace and Tottenham. Teams have had as many shots on goal against them as they have at Leeds and Everton, and their XG is the same as Brentford's. In fact, you go and you take penalties out of the equation there, and it is the same as Nottingham Forest's, who are 17th. And of course, what's particularly maddening about those numbers is that this system that you have this unrelenting lob on for, that puts more defenders in the team than you need and puts attackers into positions where they have to think defensively, is only used in football to make you more solid. The reason other teams in the world do it is to make them hard to play against. And you would never level that accusation at Ruben Amorim's Man United. So what has ever been the point? Let's just go to the Leeds game here, as it has turned out to be his last, right? And early on, because Leeds are attacking down the flanks, they've forced the wing-backs into just being full-backs. But as they cross the ball, look at the organisation here. This is your back 3. These are your 2 wing-backs. These are your 2 central midfielders. And these are your 2 number 10s, or just to do that as a 5-4, which it should be when you're defending. What the fuck is that supposed to be? And despite having an 8v4 in the box, Leeds still win that header and nearly score. And if you just look at the 11 players Ruben Amorim fielded in his last ever game for Man United, right? I'm gonna try and make a really nuanced point here, but first off, that's atrocious. If you're Man United and you want this to work, you need attackers at wing-back. You need dynamism in midfield. You need creativity and threat in the number 10 positions. And what have you got? Like Luke Shaw at wing-back, God bless him, who's been a centre-back pretty much all this season. Patrick Dorgu, who's not even first choice in his preferred position in one of the most important positions in the team and the two most defensively minded central midfielders at the club. That is 9 of your 11 players basically being some form of a defender or another when you are playing 16th in the league. Now, I did say this was going to be quite a nuanced point, right? So if you're a Man United fan, you might quite rightly be sitting there now going, but hang on a second there, buddy, right? Did you see the bench for this game? Because that is staggering in its own right, isn't it? Like, you've got one senior outfield player available. So for all the criticisms that are being levelled at Ruben Amorim and his time at Manchester United, right, surely this one random starting 11 is a bit unfair, isn't it? Well, if you look at it again, right, and I am not a Man United fan, so I hesitate to speak on their behalf, but I would say that this starting 11, even in the context of the injuries they were having, represents that he did not understand the culture of this club. Giving your youth players a chance, promoting from within your own academy. This has been the backbone of this football club for decades upon decades and is as important to its cultural makeup, right, as playing attacking football. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying any of these specific players are good enough to make it at the top level. I don't know enough about them. But with an injury crisis as bad as this, as Man United manager, you're faced with two options. Either just play 9 defenders and hope that the system will magically see you through, which of course it didn't, or use it as a really rare opportunity to allow some of these lads to show you what they can maybe do. And are you honestly looking at this and telling me that even just for an hour at Ellen Road, it's not a better idea than playing 3-4-2-1 with 9 defenders? But no, of course not. The system must be protected at all costs. And if you would like to see a moment that proves what an irresponsible mindset that is to have as a manager, it's this. It's that Wolves game from a while ago. Ahmad gets run off like a man with zero defensive instincts, and as the wing-back, that goal is entirely his fault. Except, no, it's not, is it? Because if he is in that position every single week, having to sacrifice everything he is good at as a footballer in order to track runners into the 6-yard box, then that is the manager's fault, not his. If he keeps finding himself in this position and Man United keep conceding as a result, then the blame is with whoever is putting him there. And just, do you know what it is, right? I don't want any manager to lose their job. I've been told several times he's a genuinely lovely bloke, Ruben Amorim. I find him really interesting. I think if his next job suits him a bit better, he'll probably do really well in it. But I cannot tell you how relieved I am that I don't have to stand here anymore and do the exact same, oh, Man United aren't doing very well because this system isn't working and he refuses to change it video. Because I must have done 10 of them by now. And what does he have to show for this just complete refusal to compromise? He has the worst Premier League win ratio of any Man United manager ever at like 32%. He has the worst goals conceded per game, over 1.5, and they've had 2 clean sheets in the Premier League all season and haven't had one away from home anywhere in 15 games, which is a club record. As you saw in the numbers, he absolutely improved their attack, yes, but that's more because he spent £200 million on new attackers. Like so many of the goals you've seen them score this season come in this like really nice transitional moment or from some brilliant bit of individual play, never as a result of the system dominating the teams it comes up against. The overwhelming evidence of whatever stats you want to look at are occasionally Man United succeed in spite of this system. And just to make this all so poetically maddening for you, the only times this season where you would say they've put in complete performances are when injuries force them to try out a back four. But then, of course, just as soon as he could get back to this, he did, and they took 2 points from Wolves and Leeds. And just the bottom line here is that if, as a manager, you cannot adapt your approach or your philosophies when all the evidence is telling you that's what you need to do, then you have just automatically failed your club, your players, your bosses, and your fans. And look, right, I can't stand here and say that there aren't wider issues at Man United that have partly contributed to all of this. Like, they spent massive on Dan Ashworth, who then said he didn't think Amorim was a smart move, so they spent massive to get rid of him so they could get Amorim, backed him heavily, and have now had to shell out even more money to get rid of him. Which, when you lay it all out like that, it's not a cohesive business plan, is it? So much of what has gone wrong here is down to the manager's rigid ideology, yes, but it is also a mess of the club's making, from the top down. But yes, this is the Tactics channel, isn't it? Not a Diary of a CEO. So I do think if you change the manager who comes in and does something like that with them, then without even overcomplicating it, without having to be super clever, I think the performances immediately improve. They become a lot more solid. They become a lot more cohesive. And as a result, the results will probably pick up as well. So result twice there. And yes, obviously that immediate uplift might not put you permanently back where you want to be, but it'll be an awful lot better than what you have been watching recently. I promise. So yes, there you go. That is how I have spent my birthday doing the Ruben Amorim getting the sack from Manchester United video. Maybe I should get a girlfriend this year. That feels like a healthy move. Anyway though, Manchester United fans, crikey Moses, give us your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below. Are you happy with this? Do you think they should have stuck with him? Was it his fault? Was it not his fault? Do you blame the club? Who do you want in next regardless? Because he's gone, we can't change that. All of it, welcome down below. And of course, you can get me across all the social medias at Adam Clery, C-L-E-R-Y. If you have not already subscribed to us here at the Adam Clery Football Channel, then what are you waiting for? Friends, click that button and joy will appear in your life through your eyes and the internet. Thanks again to our sponsors of all our data and information. FotMob, go and get the app. I genuinely had it on my phone before they ever emailed me. So that was quite nice. I've done the entire outro in one single take. It doesn't matter how many candles are on the cake. I ain't losing a step. Except now, I forgot how to do the end bit. Goodbye. Mwah.